Today on Cup of Kudos Urban Gardening, Erin shares her harvest of dandelions in a delicious recipe.
Hi Kudos crew, this is Erin Caudell from the local grocer, and we're going to talk a little bit about winter greens and growing them, as well as harvest some dandelions today. So dandelion greens, the name comes from a French word that means lion's tooth, and you can see how jagged the edge of the greens are, where it obviously gets that name from. So dandelion greens, why eat dandelion greens, and why are we talking about them in the winter? So I know it's getting a little chilly outside, but because of the hoop house that we're in here at the farm, we can grow a lot of things, and especially greens, into the winter time. So it's a good time to really bulk up on a lot of good healthy nutrients for getting us through the winter and through cold and flu season. So we're going to use these greens in a recipe a little bit, but one of the things I wanted to tell you about why they are so healthy. So dandelions are really high in vitamin A and vitamin K, as well as vitamin C. They also have a lot of antioxidants in them. One of the things that people always kind of scrunch up their face when they eat a dandelion green is because they're a little bitter. And one of those reasons that we need those bitters are for our digestive tract. And often we are not eating a lot of bitters because as a culture, we're more into sweets and sugars. And so we need some of these bitters in our lives. If dandelion greens are a little too bitter for you, there are some ways that you can mediate that a little bit. And one of those is mixing it with some of the spinach that's growing behind me, or maybe a little bit of kale. Also, getting used to it. If you're not quite ready to eat them raw, you can mix them in a salad, or you can also cook them a little, and that does reduce the bitter action, but it's a good way to get those nutrients in your body. We're growing dandelion greens into the winter, and one of the things that's a little bit different about this variety is that it is, although it's in the same family, it's a little bit different variety that gets a little bit bigger than those dandelion greens in your yard. So we're going to harvest a few to take back to the kitchen to show you some recipes. So we're just harvesting them right at the base, and we're going to stick these in a bag to take back to the kitchen. And we're back from the farm with our dandelion greens, and we're going to show you a recipe with what you can do with them. So when we bring the greens back from the farm, because the dandelion greens have kind of a tough skin, and that's part of what makes them bitter, if you're looking for a way to make them a little less bitter and a little more tasty, you can rip them up into I've used about a teaspoon of salt water here, and you can break them up into the salt water and kind of rest them while you're preparing the rest of the ingredients. So what we're going to do today is chop up a half of an onion. This was a large onion. I'm chopping about half of it, so you could use a small onion would be plenty. And we're going to just chop that kind of rough, and we're going to put that into a pan with about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We're also going to prepare some garlic. We're not going to put that in at the same time as the onions. We're going to cook the onions until they're translucent, and then add the garlic in for about 2 minutes after the onions are to the stage we're looking to have them in. So I'm going to toss in that olive oil and onions. So we've sweated out the onions and added our garlic. And then we're going to add in the greens that have been soaking in this water. And we're not going to drain them because we're going to use that water to help steam the greens. And we're basically only cooking this long enough for the greens to wilt. And that nice aroma from the onions and the garlic is going to add in with the greens. We're going to add in a little bit of crushed pepper, pepper flakes. And now it's time we're going to add a little salt. So we're just going to cover it with a lid to steam it up a little bit. And as you can see, we've wilted them down. They do reduce in size quite a bit, so make sure you make enough for everyone to share. And we'll be serving these up for dinner. You can use this recipe with most greens. They'll all wilt down pretty good with some onions and garlic and a little bit of olive oil. You can choose to spice them in different ways, whether with a little bit of ginger or with the crushed red pepper like we did tonight. And we hope that you go on Facebook and like a couple kudos and our Instagram, and we'll see you next time.